Well, I'm joined now by the travel journalist Jill Starley-Grainger, who is going to talk us through some of the implications of what we've seen, these latest developments. Thank you for speaking to us. So first off, regarding the ban that we're seeing from the United States, what are the implications for people trying to get back to the UK?
So I think anybody who is still in America, I think they have a couple of days to get back, and I would get back on the fastest flight that you possibly can. And I know that the airlines are being very flexible with this and trying to get people on flights as soon as possible. We don't know yet if there will be further flights. We know that this ban comes into effect, I think it's Monday. So I would advise anybody who's there now to try to get back, because otherwise you could end up being stuck in the country, which sounds nice in a lot of ways, but unless you have travel insurance that includes travel disruption cover, you could end up with a very large bill for all of your hotels, etc., because these things aren't covered by anything except travel insurance or travel disruption cover.
What would your advice be to anyone, first off, who has booked a holiday?
If you have a holiday booked in the very short term, say for the next month or two, personally, at this stage, I would probably be on the phone to the travel agent or the airline asking them if I could move the flight. And most of them are being very flexible with that because they all recognize what is happening. Now, there are the parts of the world where things seem to be fine. Large parts of Africa, I think, haven't had major problems yet, but I think we can all see where this is probably heading. And so almost every travel agency, every airline, for trips during the short term, most of them being very flexible. So even if your terms and conditions say that you can't make any changes, don't necessarily believe it, because all of them are now changing their policies regarding that. Personally, I would be very concerned about getting stuck abroad right now. So I would see if I could just move my trip to maybe 6 or 9 months, or maybe even a year down the line, when hopefully this will all be done and dusted and everything will be back to normal.
We're seeing a lot of countries shutting down their borders, or partially shutting down borders with checks on them. I mean, slightly different here in the UK, we're an island nation, but could you see travel restrictions being brought in for the UK? Are we heading that way?
I can't predict it, but based on what has been happening all around us with France, Spain, with the Scandinavian countries, with Poland, it does seem like it is a very highly possible scenario. And so that's another reason that you might not want to be abroad at this point in time, because again, there is the risk that you could sort of get stuck there. And so yes, if it was me, until recently, I had been planning several trips. I was going away in a couple of weeks. I was going away somewhere else next month. I mean, I'm a travel journalist. I travel a lot. These are now all on hold.
If you then were in a country and you were put into a forced lockdown or quarantine, what would you be doing first regards the costs that you would have accumulated?
Right. So in the first instance, most of these countries, when they bring in these bans, they have been saying that they're allowing citizens of other countries to get out of the country. So there's sort of a grace period. So that's sort of the situation in America. That's why I said if I was there, I would be trying to get back quite quickly, because we don't necessarily know what's going to happen after that. So the first thing to do is to try to get back quickly. And if you have travel insurance that includes something called curtailment, that would typically cover that. So, and most travel policies do include curtailment. Also, the airlines are being very flexible and trying to help people with these where they can. But if you ended up getting stuck there, like I said, you are then moving into a quarantine situation, and if they don't let you out, there is very little you can do if you don't already have that travel insurance that has travel disruption cover. You will just have to bed in and hope that the hotel will do you a special deal, or try to find some kind of compensation that way. But your travel agent, if you have booked with a travel agent, they will also be able to provide assistance in getting you back.
Okay, looking ahead, of course, the all-important summer holiday season is coming up. Is it even worth thinking that far ahead? How do you see it panning out?
Okay, so here's the problem with this. Until a few days ago, it would have been fine. You could have booked your summer holidays, you could have taken out appropriate travel insurance. Unfortunately, many of the major travel insurers in the last 48 hours have come out and they have said that they're removing travel disruption cover, and many of them are saying they won't cover anything to do with coronavirus. So I would be very hesitant to book your summer holiday now. I would, if you are going to book it, I would maybe make it at the tail end of summer, and only if you understand that there is a reasonable risk that you could end up losing quite a large chunk of that money if something goes wrong. Now, if you book a flight or a package that's still, they're still selling it, for example, if they can provide you with travel insurance, then great. If not, if you pay on your credit card and the travel insurance, the holiday has to get canceled, then you should be able to claim on something called Section 75, but that's only with credit cards. If you have to claim on your debit card, it's the chargeback scheme. Section 75 on credit cards gives you more protection because it includes consequential losses, whereas the chargeback scheme with the debit card only covers the exact thing you're claiming for. So, for example, if the flight's canceled, you could claim for that on the chargeback scheme, but if the hotels are still open but you can't get to it, you couldn't claim for that. So I would be very careful about booking holidays in the short term.
Okay. Jill Starley-Grainger, thank you very much for laying that out for us. Thank you.